Hey everybody, and welcome to Board Game Heaven. In this episode I'm going to talk about MAUW by Vincent Joassin, and this is a game published by the publisher from Luxembourg, Yoka by Tsume. And this is a card game where you're basically building an army of cats, trying to score as many points as possible while trying to thwart your opponents. It has very colorful art, plays relatively fast. There's also an expansion that I am going to review. So let's open up the box, see what's inside, I'll explain the rules, and then I'll tell you what I think about it. So, MAUW, which comes in a nice tin can, in a tin box, and it's a game for 2 to 6 players, which plays at ages 7 and up in about 30 minutes. So that is the box. Let's open it up. So it's just a tin, and you can open the lid, and inside you will find the rule book. Now I've got a French version. I'm not sure if it's published in different languages, but I'm sure you will be able to find something online. I'll check for it myself, and if I find something, I put it in the description below. So this is what you get. And it's a little leaflet with the rules, and there is a pack of cards in a small insert over there. So let's see if I can open this up. Let's take out these cards. Alright, so we have numbers 9. These are all number 9. It does look like that. So basically the back of the cards are all the same. So let's have a look at the front of the cards. And something that really caught my eye was the very bright and cool looking, almost tribal artwork of cats with these bright colors. So we've got the red number 1 cat here. We've got a yellow number 2 cat. Several of those with nice golden letters on them. So that's pretty cool. We've got a green number 3. A blue number 4. Then there's a blue number 5. There's the green number 6. An orange number 7. A red number 8. And a black number 0. And another one. And another one. And another one. And another one. So these are all different. And these are supposed to be the spirits, so evil spirits, and somehow you need to defeat these with your clan of cats. And there is a couple of jokers in here as well. So we have those cards. Let's quickly have a look at the expansion. So here is an expansion that says there's 3 new species on the island, and you'll notice that this pack actually does have multiple languages on it, so that would suggest that there is indeed a different set of rules in different languages for the base game. Okay, so let's open this up. There's a nice pulling indentation here, so you can just pull it open. Alright, there we go. So we have some new species besides the cats. So we've got kiwis. For those, we've got minox, and an owl. We've got tuatura, which is some kind of lizard. And we have the rules in 6 different languages, so that's pretty cool. And of course, the back of the cards are the same as those in the base game. So that's that. And if you can manage to get a hold of this, this is a promo animal, which is the MAUW, which is also a mini expansion for the game. Let's set up a game and explain the rules. The game MAUW comes with 8 of these numbered cats, 1 through 8, and each of them has 7 cards in the deck. There's also 12 of those spirit cats, which are valued 0, and there's 4 jokers in here, which can be any card you choose. and they're all in this big stack, and you shuffle them, and all of them have the same back, which is the MAUW card, which is always number 9 with a multiplier of 2. And the idea is to build columns of these cards on top of each other and get as high a score as possible, which every time multiplies by 2, the more MAUW cards you can stack on top of each other. So you take all of these cards and you shuffle them in the deck, and you pass each player 4 cards. Now, of those 7 cards of each number, there is always a card with 1 dot and one with 2 dots. And depending on the number of players that's playing, you either remove them or keep them in. So in a 2-player game, you remove all the cards that have these dots on them. In a 3- or 4-player game, you only remove these with the 2 dots and keep these in. And in a 5- or 6-player game, you keep all of them in the deck. In MAUW, each player will have in front of them a personal play area in which they will have up to 4 columns of cards. I've already placed 3 here, say this is a game in progress, then I'd still have a 4th column free. Now, each column is composed of a stack of a maximum 4 cards, and no more than 3 of those may be MAUW cards. So the back of the card is always considered the MAUW card. And the 4th card on top of a stack may never be a MAUW card. It may only be a number. And a stack isn't considered full if there is a number and 3 multipliers here. So this stack is considered full, but I can also play a cat card on it, and then it's also considered full with a maximum of 4 cards. Then in clockwise order, all the players must play 1 card from their hands, and they can either strengthen their own play area by placing a card in their own area, they can block a column of an opponent, or they can attack an enemy warrior. So that's a cat in an opponent's column. So let's talk about the first thing you can do, that's strengthening your own area. You can strengthen your area by playing a warrior cat in your own field. So you can place any number on an empty spot or on top of a column of maximum 3 MAUW cards. You can also place a warrior on another warrior of the same color. Now, there's 2 options you have. If you place a card with a cat warrior on another cat warrior that has the same color but a different value, they add up to 9. 2 colors will always add up to 9. So you take both cards and you discard them, and as a reward you first draw 1 card back up into your hand, so you have 4 cards again, and then you take this card, which is the 9 lives of the cat, and then you're allowed to place that anywhere in your play area as long as it's not the 4th card of a MAUW column, and you can also not place it on top of a warrior. So either a free spot or, like this, a MAUW card that hasn't reached 3 yet. The second way to strengthen your area with a warrior is by placing a similar card with a similar value as well. If I do that, then they don't add up to 9, so I don't discard them and draw a new card. But in this case, I take both cards, I flip one around, and I match these 2 together to make the value times 2, and then I can place them either in an empty spot or on top of a column that's not already full, and in this case I would make this column full. So that's strengthening your own area. You can also block a column of an opponent's area. So let's say this opponent sitting across from me has a column of 2 cards over here. Maybe he's got a warrior or 2. Let's just suppose that this is his play area. Then I can block a column. Now I can block a column with either a spirit. So let me just quickly see if I can find one. Here is a spirit card. So if I have a 0, that is a spirit card, I can block off a column with that. Now I can only place these on top of MAUW cards, not on an empty space and not on a cat warrior. So hereby I effectively reduce this column from 9 times 2 times 2 to 0. And the only way the opponent can get rid of that card is if he, in his turn, plays another spirit card on top of that, thereby removing both spirit cards. They get discarded, and then that player's turn is over. You can also block an enemy's column by placing a card on it. So let's say I've got a couple of cards, and I could play one of my cards, one of my cat warriors, on top of that column, reducing his value from 9 times 2 times 2, in this case, to 5. So it's always good if you have, say, a 1, you know, that would be a better option because that would be the lowest value, and I could do that instead. A joker can always be used as a cat with any value, even a 0 with a spirit. So I could use a joker to remove a spirit. So let's say I have a spirit over here, somebody placed that on my stack, blocked that column. I could use a joker from my hand and say, well, this is a spirit, and remove both cards, and that would end my turn, and I would draw back up to 4. Attacking an opponent goes as follows. You can either place a cat warrior on top of another cat warrior of an opponent's area with the same color and a different value, exactly the same as like you would strengthen your own area, and when they add up to 9, you take both cards, you discard them, you draw back up to 4, and then you draw another card and you keep the MAUW side up and you place it in an available spot in your area, like so. And another option would be if there was a similar card in my opponent's area and I would attack with a cat with a similar value, then I would be able to take both cards, and then I don't discard them, but I flip one over, keep one on the MAUW side, I match the two, and then I place them in an available spot. So I cannot put them on another warrior, I cannot put them on a stack that already has 3 MAUW cards, but I can put them in an empty spot or on top of 1 or 2 maximum MAUW cards, like so. Then I draw back up again until my hand is at 4. Every time I would attack an enemy, then the opponent is allowed to defend himself. So let's say, for example, I had an 8 and I wanted to steal that 8 because it's a high value, I can use that. Then I would say, okay, I'm attacking this card. Now if the opponent has either the same card in his hand or maybe a joker, then he can use that card to stave off that attack and place that card on top, and then both cats would battle each other and they would be discarded and the attack would be defended against. Then at that point you draw back up to 4, both of you, so the opponent draws back up 1 card, I draw back up 1 card because I used 1 just now, and I draw back up. If I still have another 8, then I could still continue that attack, but I don't, so this goes on until one of the two cannot either attack or defend anymore, and then the turn ends and you draw back up to 4 if needed. Now the joker can be used for anything, so you can use him to strengthen your own area, to play it as a cat. You can use it to defend against an attack. You can also use it to remove a spirit card, but you can never use it to strengthen your area as a cat that you want to place in an empty spot or on a MAUW card, because then you won't know what it is and people would have to remember. So it's more a practical thing. So you can use a joker to do that. The game ends immediately as soon as one player has 3 columns consisting of at least 3 MAUW cards, or as soon as a player cannot replenish their hand to 4 cards at the end of the turn. That means that all cards have been taken, because normally when the stack runs out you shuffle the discard pile and you continue with that, but with multiple players at some point maybe all the cards are gone, and if a player can't draw back up to 4, then the game ends. Usually the game will end when people have 3 stacks of at least 3 MAUW cards. So in this case we've got 3 MAUW cards here with a value of 9 on top, 3 here with an 8. So if perhaps I would use the joker in my turn to place another 6 on this 6, then I would take both, I would flip one of them around, I always use the joker in that case, and then I would place them. I could place it here and then game would continue, but I could also place them here and then the game would end. So in that case all players add up their score, so you take 6 times 2 times 2 times 2 plus 9 times 2 times 2 times 2 plus 8 times 2 times 2 times 2 in that case, and that is your final score. So you compare your scores and the player with the most points wins the game. So let's play a quick round as an example. So let's say I start, I've got 4 cards on my hand, this is a game in progress, we've got 3 players, And of course, for 3 players, I should have removed certain cards with dots, but for this example, I just kept them in. So for example, I could place a spirit card on this stack, blocking them. So take note, I'm not attacking, I'm blocking, so there's no defense against that. And then I draw back up to 4. And the next player's turn goes, so he could play another 0 or a joker if he had it to cancel that spirit, removing both from the game, ending his turn, and they draw back up to 4. And the third player's turn, they could, for example, well, steal an 8. That's always a good option. So he takes the 8. And let's see, I've got more points than that player, so he's going to attack me. But I don't want to be attacked. I still have an 8, so I could play that and cancel that attack. They both go away. Then both players draw back up to 8. And had that player, by chance, drawn an 8, he could play that again. But he hasn't, but he does have the joker. So in this case, he could use the joker and say, well, I'm going to play another 8. And that would mean I couldn't defend against it this time. So then he would take those cards, flip one around, and in case of a joker, you always flip over the joker, match those two, and play them either in a free area or on a legal MAUW column. And then that player draws back up to 4 once more. Then it's my turn again, so I could do several things. I could place, for example, a low card on this column, making it from a 9 into a 2, so making the value lower. I could also steal that card and match them and play them in my area, but the 2 is not very high value. And I could also place it in my own area, but still it's not a whole lot of value. So perhaps I'll do just that. I'll block this column and then I'll draw back up to 4. And that goes on like that. You either strengthen your own area, you block an opponent's column, or you attack an enemy's cat. MAUW also has an expansion, and the expansion consists of 3 cards, and they come in 4 in the package, so there's 12 cards in total. And there's also a promo card called the MAUW, which they hand out separately. So in the expansion, you get the Kiwi, and the Kiwi card can be played to steal an enemy's warrior, so that means a cat. So you play the Kiwi. So for example, I could play the Kiwi, I could steal any cat on the table, and then I would place it on my own area and discard the Kiwi. So that's what the Kiwi does. Then we have the Ninox, which is an owl, which allows me to steal a blocked opponent's, well, a spirit. So if there was a spirit card somewhere, just let's say this was over here, then I could play the Ninox, and then I would steal that card away, unblocking that opponent's column. So that's not a bad thing for the opponent, but I would get this card, I would flip it around and play it in my own area, and then discard the Ninox. And finally, we have the Tuatura, which is this lizard over here. And the lizard defends me against attack. So whenever an opponent would attack me with a cat, then I could play the Tuatura. And then that would mean that that opponent playing the cat, so for example, they're playing, let's say they have this on their hands, and they're playing an 8. I could say, nope, I'm playing the Tuatura, and then I would steal that card and put it in my own hand. And finally, there's the MAUW card that didn't come with an instruction, but I'm gathering from the icons that I can play a 0 from my stack and move it. These arrows are pointing towards the opponents. So if I had a 0 blocking one of my MAUW card stacks, then I could play the MAUW. I could take this 0, I could replace it anywhere in an opponent's stack, so for example here, and then I would flip over the MAUW card to the MAUW side and place it in my own area. So in a nutshell, that's how you play MAUW by Vincent Joassin, published by Yoka by Tsume. Let's go to my final thoughts. So my final thoughts on MAUW by Yoka by Tsume is, well, I'm very positive about this game because I've played it a dozen of times with colleagues and friends, and everybody kept asking me to bring it on the next time I came along again, because this is a very easy to learn game that plays relatively fast, and it can play up to 6 players, so that's a lot of fun. It's a great filler. It has beautiful art. It has, I mean, it's so colorful. The theme is okay, you know, it's about cats in New Zealand with the Maori spirits. So there's a story behind it all, but it's really just pasted on. But I just like that it's about cats and that it looks so colorful. But it's really a very clever game where you're constantly thinking, okay, am I going to play safe and just add the same card to my stack, flip one over and multiply that by 2 every time and hope I get those high cards? Or am I going to take a risk and add a second cat that will, you know, total up to 9, remove them both, and I will get a 9 times 2, but somebody can attack me and put a low or even a 0 card on top of that. So that's a risk you're taking. And I also find that the more people are playing, the lower that risk is. If you're playing 2 or 3 player, then you're probably going to get that low card on top of your open stack. So with more players, this is actually a lot more fun, because with less players, you're going to see that people are going to play it safe, and that's just not that exciting. But it's still a fun game to play with lower numbers. But you know, with 4, 5, or 6 people, this game really shines. And another thing is that you've got the expansion with those cards that you can still use even when a stack is full. You can steal a card from somebody, or you can take that 0 from somebody, you know, potentially helping them, but just flip it around and make one of your stacks times 2 again. So that's also very helpful. I would certainly suggest, if you see this game and you like it, try it out. You'll certainly want to buy it if you like card games like these. Definitely get the expansion as well, because that adds a lot of extra cool stuff to the game, and it's just a small pack of cards, so it's cheap. Just add that as well, and if you can, you know, get the promo card as well, the MAUW. That is just a nice extra to have. So all in all, I'm super happy with this game. I'm very glad I managed to get a copy from Yoka by Tsume. Big thanks for that. It is super colorful, it's fun, it's light, it's easy to learn. I highly recommend MAUW by Yoka by Tsume and Vincent Joassin. If you see it, try it, and you'll want to pick it up. I can guarantee you. So, thumbs up for me for MAUW. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button below, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching, and see you next time on Board Game Heaven.